become what you are trying to accomplish. Give it 100%. Don't be the poet that's just all talk. Be the poem that is lived out, that becomes that journey, that you become part of that journey becomes part of you, and you live it out to the best of your potential, and you become it. Milk tea after a while, and it's good. I want to show you this. This was a rhododendron. You see it bent over that way. It was bent over my road here last year. So I pushed it out of the way. I thought I would have killed it. I thought I killed it. I thought it wouldn't live this year. After I pushed it over, it had such a root system going through here. This part, I can see that it's suffering a little bit from where I pushed it over because all the root system is down here in the bank. This is a bank going down to the road here. And, but surprisingly, and this was the only one that was here in this spot. I have them in other places throughout the forest. You might not be able to see it, but there's little ones growing up now, all up through here because the root system recognized that it needed to grow. There's small rhododendrons growing 30 feet up through here. Now, since I pushed this one over, I'm gonna have about, I don't know, 50 or 60 new rhododendrons popping up here already. I'm gonna try to hold the camera up so you can see it better. They're growing up between these dead trees that fell over, and they're everywhere. And they came up through the root system of that one that I pushed over. And now we're gonna have like a little small forest of rhododendron here that are gonna be blooming in this area. A lot of sourwoods through here. And my bee yard is just over this way. So we're gonna have some of the best sourwood honey that's gonna be a honey flow in the late summer through the fall. That's gonna cause the bees here to be blessed, have plenty of nectar, and we'll have plenty of good honey coming from that. And all the beautiful honey that's coming from that gives that those colonies of bees a lot of nutrition and a lot of food to be able to last through the winter. But it also guarantees that we're going to have honey too for our own consumption that is a very high quality honey. We couldn't ask for a better location here at Welch Family Homestead to have the best apiary system that we could imagine anywhere. We're so organic here. We're close to the national forest everywhere we turn. There's no commercial farming anywhere close to us that does any chemical treatments. Our bees are safe. Save the bees. That's what we're doing here. It's all about saving the bees. Not just about getting honey. Not just about the honeybees being a business as far as the money is concerned. It's about saving the bees. A relationship without trust is like a phone without service, without signal. What do you do with a phone when you don't have signal? You play games. And that's exactly the way it is with every aspect of life, whether it's a relationship with another individual or whether it's a relationship with your goals or your purpose. So if you don't have a trust in what your objective is, you don't have a trust in your efforts, you don't have a trust in yourself, you don't have a trust in the goals that you are trying to reach, in your mind you have determined, I don't know if I can do that or not. I don't know if I can accomplish that or not. I don't know if I can stand up to that and be the person I need to be able to accomplish that or not. That is a lack of trust. It works the same way in a relationship as it does with the chores that you're doing on a daily basis of your goals that you're trying to actually accomplish in life. So if you have goals that you've set or you have ambitions that you have dreamed of and you want to reach those dreams, you want to accommodate those dreams, you want to be that dream. It goes to the point of this. Either you are going to become the poet or you're going to become the poem. I suggest become the poem. Become what you are trying to accomplish. Give it 100%. Don't be the poet that's just all talk. Be the poem that is lived out, that becomes that journey, that you become part of that journey. That journey becomes part of you, and you live it out to the best of your potential, and you become it. Then the hard work, the chores, the struggle, the challenges, everything that you endure is laced with a purpose and a trust that can take you through any milestone, any obstacle, any pain that you can imagine that you may not otherwise be able mentally to get through. Some of the greatest changes in people's lives is when they're turning the page on that chapter that's titled, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can survive this. I don't know if I can live through this. I don't know if I can handle this. When they finally turn the page on the chapter, last page, and they move forward, their greatest moments start coming into fruition because they've learned how to trust their next step. That step that says, I'm going to step across that line. I'm going to step into that world of what I was afraid of doing. Now, when I began this concept of the journey that I'm on right now, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I started 20-something years ago, but I'm just now really coming here to the property within the last year and doing what I dreamed about. It took me a third of my life to pay this mountain off, to get to where I'm at now, and working hard and pushing it. But that ambition inside of me said, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to accomplish this. It turned into an accomplishment that was focused 100% around my kids and my grandkids and what they would be able to do with it, even after I'm gone. This was not just a dream for me. This was a dream that had a purpose around family. And I'm sure that most of you can relate to that. That the dreams that are based unselfishly are the ones that take you furthest. They take you the furthest. The dreams that are not focused around you take you further. The dreams that have a purpose bigger than you take you further. Because it's not about you. It's about something bigger than you, bigger than me. We're in a world where it's about the me generation, right? It's like all about me, me, me. How convenient can I make life for me? How easy can I make life for me? Let me tell you, nothing great is ever accomplished around the word easy. Nothing great is ever accomplished around the word convenience. Nothing great is ever accomplished around a lifestyle that's expecting everything to fall in your lap without you pushing yourself for it to happen. And if you're pushing for it for yourself, and that's all your goal is just for yourself, it's not near as powerful as when you're pushing for a cause or a family or whatever else it is other than yourself, because it becomes bigger than you. It becomes more massive within the whole scope of the purpose. And that's what we did here at the Welch Family Homestead, is we want it to be not only something that I enjoy, but I want it to be something that my family can benefit from and enjoy as well. The moments. You see, I bought this when I was 41 years old. I'm 62 now. But I realized something right around that time, and I've said this from the stages around the world in regards to this. I've mentioned it over and over and over, whether I was in Asia or Russia or Europe or Central and South America, Australia, New Zealand, wherever I was speaking, I've always brought this up. That it clicked in my life right around that 41-year age mark. Right around 40, 41. And the reason it did was because my father was ailing. He'd been on oxygen for many years. He was not going to last long. And that was affecting me. It was the hardest thing for me to go through, was to lose my father. But as I'd go visit my father while he was sick and he was struggling to breathe for years, it dawned on me, something dawned on me. You know, we have memories that we create all our life. Memories are great, but as I sat there with him, he would go back on certain memories, certain times that we experienced or he experienced, and he would tell some stories that, and some of them I'd never heard before. Here he was on his deathbed, and I heard stories that he, during that moment, that I had never heard him tell before. It's almost as if he didn't want to talk about them until that moment, but then he wanted to talk about it. He told things that was so interesting. But the part that stood out to me is they were beyond memories. They were more than just memories. They were moments. Not just memories, moments. Because when we get to that last few pages of the last chapter of our lives one day, all we have that matters are those moments that we've created all those years, those times that stand out in our memories. We have a lot of memories, good and bad, all kind of memories. We can remember things that are not even pertinent or don't really have any kind of impact on our lives whatsoever. Those are memories too. But the moments is what matters when you're at that last chapter, those last few moments of your life. The moments that stood out in your life are what comes up in your mind. When my mother was passing just about 3 years ago, she went through the same exact thing. But back when my father was going through his end of time of his life here on earth, that stood out to me heavily. And it caused me to realize I need to make moments in my life. And the way that I make moments, it dawned on me beyond that dawning. It allowed me to understand that to create moments in your life, there has to be a purpose behind it. There has to be something that has meaning. It has to be something more than just I cut a board, or I trimmed a tree, or I cut a tree down, or I petted a dog, or I had breakfast with someone. It has to go beyond that. It has to be a moment that stands out. So I realized the value of life at those last moments when you're looking back. It's not about the money. It's not about what you've had. It's not about what you've bought. It's not about how you've impressed anyone. It's not all these things that we call the glitter and the glam of our lives that we talk about now when we're younger. And I've done that. I've had the nice sports cars and the nice homes and things that most people could brag about. And I know that. I've been blessed. I flew to Orlando to have dinner with a dear friend and his wife from Canada. They were going to be down, and they were spending the winter in Florida, and I've done a lot of business with them over the years. And I flew down to Orlando. This was years ago, and we went to a nice restaurant. And that restaurant was not cheap. It was a very expensive restaurant. In fact, it was extremely expensive. But there were singers there that many of them were trying to make their way into Disney or had been in Disney before, and they had some of the best voices there. All the waiters, servers, all the people who done anything in the restaurant sang or played an instrument or what have you. And it was an experience. It was an experience. Now I want you to put this together. Let's say that meal costs $400. And some of us are looking at that and saying, oh my gosh, how could you even imagine spending $400 for a meal? That's crazy, ridiculous. But let's think about it. Let's put it in perspective. Maybe you go to McDonald's through the drive-thru. If you go through there today and just get a hamburger, fries, and a drink, you're going to spend $10. Let's say that you're eating out several times in those types of places. It's going to add up, and eventually you're going to get to that $400. But have you created one moment that you could look back on, that you could say, wow, I went to the McDonald's drive-thru and got a burger? Did that stand out? Is that going to stand out to you one day? Is it? Is it? Now, again, I'm not trying to condone spending $400 for a meal. That's not the point here. The point is, it was an experience. It was a true experience. One of the singers came out and started playing the piano and started singing, and another person came in and started singing. Before you knew it, there were servers singing all over the restaurant, and they were phenomenal. And then our emotions were so amazing during that time, because it was just like, this is awesome. This feels so good. And then all of a sudden, this man and woman that were servers came out, and the piano was playing, a violin started playing, and they sang "Time to Say Goodbye," Andre Bocelli's song. And I remember the couple that were with me that came down from Canada. All of us, we had tears rolling down our cheeks, because it was so moving for that song to be sang. And the atmosphere and everything was perfect. Not only that, but that happened back 20 years ago. And I can still remember the plate. I can still remember what I ate. I can still remember the taste. I can still remember the seasoning. I can still remember everything I ate. I was talking to my brother earlier. He came up here to the Homestead the other day, staying in his motor coach, and I enjoyed his company here. And he helped me a little bit on my chicken coop. I'm up to the floor system on the chicken coop right now. This is going to be an area here for the chickens. And my memory brings up the moments. It's like I've programmed myself not just to remember everything, but to remember the moments that's going to stand out. Moments. And I brought up something, and it was a dinner. Again, it has something to do with food at the time, because that brought up a memory just now when I talked about me going to Orlando, meeting with a couple from Canada. And I guess that sparked this other memory, me talking to my brother about another memory. It was when Disney first opened up its park. And again, another Orlando story. We lived in North Georgia, but we were young, and we went down to experience the Disney World when it was very young. It had not been open long. And I brought up a memory he didn't even think about. He said, I haven't even thought about that. He said, yeah, I remember. But my parents, back then, you could actually reserve to be able to go to the top of the castle there at the entrance into Disney World in Orlando, and go to a meal up to the top of the castle. And I was young. When I say I was young, I was very young. This was when I was in grammar school, elementary. How does this memory click that heavily? Is because it was a moment. I remember the meal we had at the top of the castle. We had prime rib, and we had broccoli with cheese poured over it. It's the first time I'd ever had broccoli and cheese poured over it in my life. I can remember the plates were pewter. The goblets we drank out of were pewter. The forks were pewter, and they had 3 prongs on the forks, not 4. I remember all that because it became a moment when I was that young, and I remember everything up until now. I remember the taste of that food, and it was delicious. I remember the experience. It was a moment. I brought it up to my brother. He said, yeah, I remember us going there. I can't remember what we ate. He said, you got a memory? I said, I have a moment. Now, I want to challenge you with something here from the Homestead. The reason I'm doing the Homestead is because I bought this 21 years ago to create moments with my family. I watched my grandkids grow up on this property as we visited it as a getaway, a place to swim in the lake that we have here, a place for them to ride their ATVs, their 4-wheelers, their motorcycles, have fun experience the nature and to run through the forest and to enjoy the smells and the fresh air, and to go out on the boat on Lake Fontana and enjoy the area over there, and go into the national forest and visit Smoky Mountains National Park and see all the beautiful areas around here and the waterfalls and the beauty of the mountain views, and experience life away from where we lived. And we had lived in so many different places, in Georgia and Florida and Utah and different places. And to be able to have a place to come back here and to experience and create moments together. That's why I bought this, is because of that I realized that the moments is what matters most that we create in life. And right now, as I'm starting to build out the homestead here and building our YouTube channel around the Welch Family Homestead, and the journey as we go into creating this organic certification, and we're going to have our animals and chickens and farm and the bees and the gardens and everything that we're going to be doing here. This right here is becoming one of the greatest chapters of the moments I could ever imagine as a chapter in our life. Our life. It's not about me, it's about our family. Welch Family Homestead. Because one of these days I'm going to be gone. And right before I go, I want to look back on all the moments and remember all those awesome moments that helped shape and mold the children and grandchildren and teach them things that they would never have learned in the concrete jungle of a city. I want to be able to remember those moments when I went to the beehives and worked them with my grandkids, teaching them about the bees. I want to remember those first times when my little grandkids were dropping seed in the ground for the first time, picking a vegetable for the first time, petting the chickens and naming their chicken for the first time, and petting the animals, and swimming in the lake and jumping off the dock and climbing a tree and swinging on the swing that's hung from the tree limb and listening. I can still hear their voice, as their sound comes out, the joy that comes out of their mouth when they're spinning around in the swing. And I have videos of a lot of these for years. It's all documented. Welch Family Homestead, the whole concept here is to document the journey of the moments that we can create to change lives one family at a time. And I'm changing it with my family because I want my family to grow up knowing things that they couldn't have learned anywhere else other than in nature, and the experiences that you would go through on a farm. And the beauty of it is they actually have an interest because we've made it fun. We haven't made it forced, and they love it here. My partner here, he loves it here. It's so much better up here than when we were in the golf course at Subdivision, where he couldn't go anywhere without a leash. Here, he's free. He has not been on a leash since we've been here. He goes and jumps in the lake, comes back wet, muddy, have to wash him off, but he's happy. And that's what I want. I want him to be happy too. And you can see he hangs close to me. He's tight. And he's having his own experiences. I just wish dogs could live for a long, long time. He's about 8 years old now, and probably over half through his lifetime. And but I hope he lives to be a long, old, healthy dog, and I can experience many years with him. He's my sidekick. So anyway, thank you for joining me on this little talk here at Welch Family Homestead. It's more about, I didn't take you through much today other than talking about the trees and the forest and how to manage your forest to keep the fires from happening and what have you, because I do care about the forest, I care about the nature, and I want to make sure we protect it here. But I also want you to realize that the most important aspect of life, no matter what you do, is to create moments and to have a purpose that is bigger than yourself. And you can do that, but it has to be intentional. It can't just automatically happen. You have to make it happen. And you can do that. And change is not always easy. It's painful at times. Change can be painful. It's an adjustment period when you go through changes in life. And there's nothing wrong at all with pain. There's nothing wrong at all with the struggle or the pressures that you feel during that change. That's good. That's good. Even with a plant, if it goes through stress, many times it will produce more fruit. Remember that. Live a fruitful life, prosper, and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. God bless you from Welch Family Homestead.